welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Tuesday, June 10th. It's about 8:45 at night, so I'm definitely running behind. And this is the daily coverage video for YieldMax weekly paying funds, ULTY, which is the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, the Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income ETF. If you're looking to catch up where the week started, we've got the week look ahead video up there. If you're interested in the trades I make, I post that over the weekend, and then I do daily for these videos, and I'll do a declaration day and an end of week for the other individual funds. Just an update, we're up to 644 subscribers, working towards that goal of 1,000, so thank you very much if you're one of that 644, and if you're not, please consider clicking it. Every day I let you know how your money's doing inside these funds. We go line by line, every trade they make. Not a lot of things give you that kind of transparency. So we go to the page just to give you a quick idea, the YieldMax page. Scroll down through. Every morning, the updated holdings come out, so I download them every morning, update all my sheets, make sure all my formulas are correct, and then every evening the intraday trades download becomes available. We download that. It looks like this. We go through, we find the funds that apply to us, copy all these into our spreadsheets, make them look nice, organize them, and that's what we're talking about. So ULTY had a handful of trades, as you can see, like always, and LFGY did as well. So we'll get right into it, starting with ULTY. All right, we've grayed out and hidden all trades we've already talked about. At the end of the week, we'll open back up just this week's to look at the whole week altogether. I think, yep, we had a 800,000 increase in outstanding shares, so that brought in more money, gave them money to trade with, so they used it to buy 150,000. Ignore this contracts. When it comes to the stock itself, that's shares. So 150,000 shares more of GameStop and 25,000 more shares of RH. So they spent a little over $9 million on that. And then we don't include that spending into our option income trading, because that's not options. That's just taking the money from people buying into the fund and putting it to use. So we only count the options. So we'll bounce to these and then jump back to the top. So GameStop, they added 150,000 shares. That gives them the ability to sell 1,500 contracts, and that's what they did. They picked a $33 strike. With those, collected $1.02, and they did a collar strategy, right? So they bought the shares, sold a call out of the money above their price, and bought a put out of the money below their price to protect their shares. Paid 17 cents. Overall profit of 127,000. And then the 25,000 shares of RH that they purchased allowed them to do 250 contracts, selling at 210 and buying the put at 165, resulting in a $62,000 profit. All right, they went back. We'll go back up to the top. Applied Digital, they closed. So they didn't close the entire combination, you'll call it. They left the puts alone, but they closed out their $15 and $16 call strikes for this Friday. Still kept it within the same week and sold $13.50 and $14 because the stock kind of took off end of last week. Maybe even yesterday. I can't remember, but it started pulling. No, it was down yesterday. So this is 2 days in a row of down after taking off like a rocket last week. So allowing them to close out their options that they had previously sold for a small portion of money and sell new ones, trying to make more profit. In the meantime, they profited $160,000. AppLovin also had 2 bad days in a row. I think they were down today. They stayed flat today, but they had a bad day yesterday. They were our biggest loser. So they closed out their 450 strike price and lowered it all the way to 410, changed out the puts as well, and ended up profiting $90,000 on that. eToro is a brand new one. As soon as we bought it, it started dropping, so they closed out their $80 strike and opened 75s with a roughly 54-cent difference, resulting in a $325,000 profit. FTAI, all they did was close out their call portion of it at 131 and lowered it to 125, collecting an additional 76,000. We already talked about GameStop. Palantir's one that went against us. They went up too fast. We had to close out the 128 calls and open 137 calls. Still staying within the same week. Let's see. The eToro ones are for next Friday. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So Palantir, we're staying within the same week. We had to move up $4 a share, and that hurt over $7 a share. So $388,000 loss. We talked about RH, Tesla, similar. They're still on that bounce back from the rough Thursday last week. So we had to close out the 315s and change them into 337.50s. That cost roughly $6 a share, or $128,000. And VRT has been dropping, so they closed the 121s for 7 cents and sold to open 114s for 61 cents, resulting in a $38,000 profit. I also forgot to mention Tesla's. They had to push them out to next week. That was a huge price to pay, $14.84 to close them out. So to get that $8.75, they had to go out a week since they were going up. All in all, it was a good day trading. They made $364,000. As you can see, they lost a little bit of money on the overall value. Tomorrow, we'll get the distribution. We'll be able to plug it in, see how far off my guesstimate is. But so let's keep it moving. So this is just going over how the holdings performed today and what it did to the options. I took a little piece of advice. I'm forgetting. Hold on one quick second. This guy, it's like Earth Creature or something along those lines. Earth Creature, I got it right. Okay, Earth Creature's been giving me a lot of suggestions in the comments, and I appreciate it. He's the reason you got these nice blue colors at the top, showing you your columns. Gave a couple other pieces of advice, and if you've watched before, if the options got changed out today, I was using yellow there. And he suggested, hey, orange kind of reminds you of like under construction. I like that idea, especially since I was already using yellow in other places. So Earth Creature, thanks for the recommendation. So if you see orange next to the option, we're not going to worry about talking about it because it's one of the ones that just got swapped out in these trades for the day. So these will get updated in tomorrow's holdings download that I get in the morning. All right. I wish I could get this screen. If I zoom out, I can show you more information, but then people complain that they can't see everything. So I'm going to keep it this way for now. All right. Applied Digital lost a little over 4% to $12.48. We talked about it. They changed out the options. $378,000 decrease in value. AppLovin stayed flat, but it was so far out of the money that they went ahead and closed them out for pennies. It says stayed flat. They went up 1 cent, but 1 cent out of a $383 stock results in 0.00% increase, but at 30,000 pennies turned into $300. AST Space Mobile up a little over 2.5% to $35.61. Options are still 6.4% out of the money, so we're still feeling a little safe on those. $422,000 increase in value. Coinbase down 0.66 or 77,000 to 254.94. Helps pull the calls a little bit further out of the money to 1.98%. Color coding system, I always start moving and then back up to talk about it. Red's bad. Okay, so if you sell a call, you'd want it to be out of the money at the end, because then it's worthless. You can close it for pennies. So if it goes in the money, we would turn things red, and that means we're gonna have to pay extra to close it out. Yellow means it's currently in our favor, but it's getting within 5% of danger zone, we'll call it, and then green is greater than 5% in our favor or out of the money. None of it really means anything, because these stocks can move 10, 15, 30% any day, but we had to pick something. Okay, CoreWeave lost 4.44% to 154.90. That actually helped, because these 160s were in the money. They're now out of the money and in our favor by 3.2%, and an equal part at 160 are 9.75%, resulted in an $864,000 decrease in value. eToro Group, this is a new one for us, lost 11.86% to 66.96, nearly $1 million, $900,000 decrease in value. Swapped out the options for something closer to try and make more premium. First Solar up 2.78% to 164.62. Those calls are 6.3% out of the money and a $200,000 increase in value. FTAI Aviation Limited lost 2.89% to 121.13, a decrease of $324,000 in value, and all they did was pulled the calls closer. GameStop lost 0.63% to $30.15, taking them to 9.45% out of the money on those. Let me back up just a second. I forgot to mention biggest winner and biggest loser. So in ULTY, the biggest loser, we just talked about it, eToro at 11.86, and we'll get to Tesla at the bottom. Biggest winner of the day for ULTY at 5.67% increase. All right, back down to where we were. Hims and Hers lost 2.83% to 55.25, taking their options, the majority of which are at 58. As you can see, 2,350 contracts compared to 900. They're nearly 5% out of the money, with the further ones 8.6% out of the money. It was a decrease of $523,000 of value. Robinhood decreased by nearly $250,000 with a 1.2% loss to 72.51. That brought their options 3.4 and 4.8% out of the money. Just another small recap. I know if you understand all this, you kind of probably get tired of hearing it, but it's a newer channel. We get newer people every day as we're growing, so some people don't know about options. When you sell an option, you brought in the most amount of money you're going to possibly end up making within the entire thing. You're going to have to close it back out at the end. There's other details. You could let it expire, but just for these purposes, they're going to have to close these out at the end. So when you buy an option, the potential win is infinite, but you start with a loss because you spent money. When you sell an option, you start out with the maximum gain, and then you possibly get it or you possibly lose it and have to spend money to close it out. So they're selling calls. That's how they're making the option income to pay us with this fund. So the goal is to sell it at just the right spot where we collect the most amount of premium, so as close as possible, while not ending up in the money and having to spend money to close it out. So hopefully that helps somebody. Okay, IonQ lost 0.8% to 39.74. They've got 41 and 43 strike prices, with the majority at 41. Those are 3.17%. The others are 8.2% out of the money. $120,000 decrease in value. We've got 3 triple leverage funds within this now that we trade. The first one is LabU. They went up 3.69% to 62.64. That brings us 2.17% out of the money. So we can't really afford another day like that. But it helped with our overall value going up by $367,000. Mara Holdings up 1.35% to 16.49, just barely out of the money now at 0.06%. So we are We are 1 cent away. So we're going to need to sit. Well, we need it to come down a little bit. Otherwise, the premium will stay pretty high all the way up till the end of Friday. So, but increase of 165,000. If it could end there, that'd be perfect, right? If you were the one selling it and you were gonna let it expire, that'd be beautiful. MicroStrategy lost about 0.25% to 391.18. That helped because all their calls were in the money, so it came a little bit closer to being out of the money. It's still in the money by 0.94%. So that helped, along with another day of time decay. So that 11 probably went down pretty decent today. We'll see in the morning with the updated holdings. $35,000 decrease in value. NVIDIA up 0.93% to 143.96. That's a $172,000 increase in value, and their calls are just barely out of the money at 0.72% or 4 cents. No, $1.04. Yep, $1.04 away from the 145. Oklo lost 0.317, so this is one that was decently in the money. Luckily, they didn't close it out with so many days to go and being far in the money, because the next day, one more day of time decay in our favor, and it dropped back out of the money. So good job on those guys. I'm sure they're not listening, but so we need that to stay under 53. It closed at 52.54, but it was over $500,000 decrease in value. Oracle up 0.19% to 177.48. Another one that's just barely, they're 2 cents out of the money. So they'll sweat that one out the rest of the week. $16,000 increase. Palantir up a little over 0.5% to 132.81. So these were already in the money. They went further in the money. They decided to close out the further one in the money. 720 contracts compared to 600, so not a huge difference there. They left the other ones for now, so a little bit of time decay, hopefully a day down. But they did swap out the ones that were hurting the most. $99,000 increase. Reddit lost 0.37% to 117.09. They've got calls at 5 and 6.7% out of the money. 3 times as many are at the further one, so that's good for us. $70,000 decrease in value. Rigetti lost 0.7% to 11.24. That's an $80,000 decrease, and those calls are 11% out of the money. They started the day at 12 cents to close, so another day went by and it went down. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, these are going to be in the single-digit cents tomorrow. They'll probably end up closing them out tomorrow. RH up 2.45 to 189.38. Still 5.6% out of the money on the calls, and a $226,000 increase. Super Microcomputer lost 0.5% to 42.91, taking them to 2.5% out of the money. $56,000 decrease. Tempus AI up 3.65% to 69.38. Took them from just out of the money to almost 3.5% in the money, so that one hurts. We need that one to come back down some. $390,000 increase. Here's the next triple leverage fund, TNA, up 1.69%. So we were looking decent. Not, we were close, but now we're in the money. So it's going to cost to close this out unless it comes back down. 33.11 closing price, $220,000 increase in value. The final triple leverage fund, TQQQ, up 1.93% to 75.98. Still just a hair out of the money, 2 cents to be exact. $352,000 increase. Tesla did well for us on this side, made us over 1.1 million increase in value with a 5.67% increase on the day to 326.09. But that did take these further in the money. That's why you see the orange, because they swapped them out. They left these others 1.87% in the money. So we would want Tesla to fall back down below 320 by the end of the week for us to make the maximum premium profit. UNH, they don't own any shares of UNH. That's why you don't get a gray line here. That's why you don't get change in market value of the shares, because we don't actually have shares. They just do a credit spread. In this case, it's a put credit spread, and in this case, it's been below. It's been in the money ever since they opened it. Even when they rolled it, it was in the money. So 303.79 is still below 305, so they're 0.4% in the money. Upstart up 0.45% to 57.68. Just barely out of the money with the 58s, and they've got 60s as well, more than twice as many that are 4% out of the money. It was an $83,000 increase in value. Vertiv Holdings lost 3.15% to 108.47. They closed these out, and it was a $254,000 loss. I don't know a lot about these two, but I do know that they go down on the same days and they go up on the same days. It seems to be always. So finally, Vistra Corp down 2.79% to 164.65. Those calls are 7.8% out of the money, and it was a $330,000 loss. As you saw on the last page, $1 million decrease in value for the day. But the fund is doing well. It keeps growing. I already talked about this earlier. More people buying in, bringing our outstanding shares up to 67.5 million. All right, so that's it for ULTY. We'll switch over to LFGY. While we are, I forgot to mention the reason I'm running so late. My daughter wanted me to make sure you say it in the video. It was her birthday today, so we had a jam-packed day for her. I worked from home so I could run around and have fun with the kid. And the day ended with going out to see the new Lilo and Stitch movie. So getting home at my bedtime and making this video. So sorry it's late. I'm sure you'll understand though. Okay, LFGY, the crypto and tech industry. So we cover these trades a little bit different because they're not closing out and rolling just about anything. They just kind of buy and sell small portions of their positions all week long. And you don't want me to go line by line when we've got trades that make or lose $40 at a time. So just the big picture, this is all their trades for the day. Okay, they didn't buy or sell any shares, just traded options. And they've been doing a lot of different stuff lately, buying and selling the exact same thing within the same day. But this was the only one, I think, Mercado Libre, where they actually closed out the position, 25.50, and adjusted the price because they only have 22 contracts of that. So, and even with that, it's like a $10,000 difference. So, big picture, trading today, they made $33,000. So, made $37,000 yesterday, made $33,000 today. On the bright side, their shares went up in value yesterday, and again, they went up in value today. So, before we switch over, reminder, my guess on what our distribution is going to be is 45 cents. So tomorrow morning, it'll get put out. If you follow me on X, ETF _inspector1, I repost it as soon as it comes out, and then we'll talk about it in our video. All right, so going through the shares and price changes for LFGY, BitDeer up a little over 2% to 14.30. Their calls are still 1.4% out of the money, and it was an increase of $99,000 of value. Now these guys are a little different. They don't do a collar strategy. A lot of times they don't protect the shares. I mean, I would say almost no times do they protect the shares. There's no puts whatsoever. Nope, there's no puts at all in LFGY. Sometimes they just sell calls, and other times they sell a call spread where they sell a call out of the money and then buy another call further out of the money, and then that just limits the amount they could possibly lose if the trade goes against them. So BitDeer, they just have the sold call. CleanSpark, they have a call spread, as you can see, so the most they can lose is $1 per share on 5,654 contracts, with each contract being worth 100 shares. So it's still a lot, but they went up 0.1% to $10.13. The ones that matter, I don't color code our protections or our insurance policies. We don't care about them. We want to know where the ones we sold that we have to buy back are ending. So 3.65%, $5,000 increase. Coinbase, 0.66% decrease to $254.94. 3.95% out of the money on those 265s. $100,000 decrease. Core Scientific, up nearly 0.5% to $12.77. Still 1.8% out of the money on those $13 calls. $34,000 increase in value. Galaxy Digital, I forgot to mention it. These are the biggest loser of the day for LFGY. 4.44% loss to 20 even. Those calls are 25% out of the money. Don't be surprised if they close them out tomorrow. They started the day at 25 cents, lost 4.4%, and another day went by. So these will probably be pennies tomorrow. $97,000 decrease. GameStop also lost 0.63% to $30.15. Calls are 11% out of the money. $34,000 decrease. Robinhood lost 1.21% to $72.51. A $90,000 decrease. Calls are 7.5% out of the money. Hut 8 Corp lost 0.11% to $18.53. $7,000 decrease. 7.9% out of the money. They don't do options on IBIT, which is the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. So they just buy and sell the shares. Up 0.84% to $62.29, or an increase of $105,000. Mara Holdings up 1.35% to $16.49. They have $17 calls that are 3% out of the money. $141,000 increase. Similar to UNH over in ULTY, LFGY does not have any shares of MBTX. They only do a credit spread on it. In this case, it's a credit call spread, or a call credit spread. So they sell 260s and they bought 285s. The 260s are what we care about. They are 0.25% out of the money. So they're in our favor, but just barely. We need them to not go up anymore the rest of the week. But as you can see, right, they are only 63 cents. They're 63 cents away from hitting the call strike price. But as of the start of the day today, they were still $5 to close. So that $5 will turn into nothing if the price stays there by the close on Friday. So that's where time is on our side. It'll just keep on ticking away. All right, Mercado Libre, this is the one they closed out. You can see they only have 22 contracts, but that's because it costs today, $2,396 a share. So you have to have 2,200 shares to do that. 3 more shares and they'll be able to start trading another contract. They lost 2.13%, or $119,000 in value. MicroStrategy lost about 0.25% to $391.18. These guys picked a little bit better price than ULTY, but they're still close. Nearly 1% out of the money and 1.6% out of the money. $34,000 decrease. NU Holdings up 0.42% to $11.97. 4.4% out of the money. $19,000 gain, nearly 20. NVIDIA up 0.93% to $143.96. $32,000 gain and a 1.42% out of the money on the 146 call strike price. Opera up 0.32% to $18.97. Those calls are still 5.4% out of the money, and it increased the value by $17,000. PayPal went up 1.65% to $74.76, just barely out of the money, in our favor, 0.32%. So they're only 24 cents away from hitting that strike price. $60,000 increase. Riot Platforms gave us a $200,000 increase of value with a 3.26% increase on the day, up to $10.45. Still 5.26% out of the money. I don't know how I miss these sometimes. 3.5 is less than 5, so that's yellow. Tesla, big winner over here too. 5.67% increase to 326.09. But they've got 337.50 selected, so they are 3.5% out of the money, and it brought our value up by 311,000. Finally, Block or XYZ lost 2.07% to 64.48. They're 2.3 and 3.9% out of the money, $65,000 decrease. So it felt like we said a lot more decreases than increases, but you saw the thumbnail. There was pretty mixed, evenly mixed reds and greens. $475,000 increase in value overall. Since yesterday, we had more people buying into the fund, increased the shares by 50,000, bringing outstanding shares up to 3,250,000. And that's about it. So if you made it this far, time for the dad joke of the day. Before I do, just thank you. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate all the support. So we'll get right to it so I can get this uploaded. You can watch it and I can get to bed. So what kind of jewelry do rabbits wear? 14 karat gold. the same little girl that was her birthday today is the one that got me this dad joke calendar. So she always comes and asks me what's the calendar joke? So, okay. Good luck trading tomorrow, and tomorrow's declaration day, distribution declaration, so be sure to check back, and we will have all those in the video along with the daily coverage of every trade that was made and how things are going. So thanks again. Good night.